Welcome back to Patman Garage. We're going to take a peek at the swap Mustang we did. We're fixing a couple little issues on this car to get it completely sorted out. And one of the things we're looking at doing is adding the oil pressure gauge to the control pack and to the instrument cluster as well. So we're going to jump back into taking a look at this car. All right, so the engine oil pressure sensor on the Gen 2 is a 3-wire, so we're going to take a look at that on the car. All right, so under the car here we have the oil filter, oil pressure sensor here. You can see it's a 3-pin. Now this is an F-150 version Coyote, so it had the 3 sensor on it because it had the variable oil pump solenoid up higher. Now the control pack itself only has a 1-wire system on it up here. I already figured out which connector that goes to on the control pack side, so I can wire it in. And we're going to hope that this sensor is the same threads as the factory sensor is. This is a factory sensor for the original 04 Mach 1 4.6. So I'm going to pull this guy out. Probably going to lose a little bit of oil, and then we'll see if this guy will thread into that same spot, and then we can put our 1-wire connector into it. I probably will have to extend the wiring, which is going to be really inconvenient in that location it's in, but we'll cross that bridge once we get to that point. All right, and then this is a 27 millimeter on the sensor, or is also a should be a one inch. So we'll crack this guy loose, and then we'll slide our drain bucket underneath here, and we'll keep our fingers crossed that those threads match up with the new one. All right, so we got super lucky, and it does actually match up thread pitch and everything. So we got that guy torqued down. It is now going to be a 21 millimeter, so change of size. So we went from a 27 to 21 millimeter. And like I said, now we'll work on getting that wire extended by about 3 or 4 inches, so it'll actually plug into the connector. And then we can work on the top side to wire the control pack back into the factory gauges. All right, so I was able to unplug my I was able to unplug my O2 sensor and snake the harness out from around the subframe, and I was able to get it out here in the open where we'll have a lot more room to work on it. So I'm going to get the heat wrapping pulled, cut, and slid back, and so I got room to make 2 splices on this wire here, or a cut, and have a splice on each end, I guess I should say. So we'll get this guy cut apart here and extend it out. All right, so we got it cut open with a razor blade, and we'll get this cut in half, and we'll extend this wire by about 3 inches and get it wrapped back up. All right, so we're going to jump into the wiring box. Grab us some extra piece of wire, preferably the same gray color, but we'll find something that matches the diameter. This is actually some of the control pack wiring. We'll find something in here that matches up okay, and we'll get the splice put in. All right, so I've got my first extension piece put on. I went ahead and did it outside of the car because that's a lot easier to do that than laying on the floor underneath the car. So we'll get this guy ready to get installed in on the other side. And I made it a little longer than it needs to be, but I think that's probably a good thing overall. So we'll get this thing installed here. All right, and I got the harness routed back through and got my oxygen sensor plugged back in. Well, not this guy, but the oxygen sensor is plugged back in here, and we are ready to get the connector plugged in for our new oil pressure switch, or new oil pressure switch. So we're good on that, and we'll jump up top and get the top of the wiring done up top. All right, so this is the big square connector that goes into the corner of the engine bay. This is connector C133, and we're looking for pin number 25. So we have 21 here, and it wraps around to 22 is our gray wire here. So we're going to go count over from there until we find 25. Actually, it's going to be 25, so it's going to be over here, right against the right up against the corner. So this is 27 here, so 26, 25. So we will pop our hot glue insert out of there, and we'll pull our red locking insert out of the inside. That's our extra locking pin retention. Just grab on it with a pair of needle nose. It pulls straight out. Those are 3 separate panels, so you only need to pull off the one that you need out. And then we'll drop our pin back into pin 27 or 25, and then we'll get it wired in. All right, so we got our white with our red put back in the pin where we should have it. Should have had it if we didn't pull it out already. And we will get this guy stripped, and we're going to get it extended to our control pack side connector. The one we're looking for, I don't remember off the top of my head the number, pin count, but it's a gray, solid gray wire. All right, so that is pin number 48. So right here, this purple with a gray stripe is going to be pin number 46, as seen on the connector body. Somewhere in there. Oh, 46. There you go. So 48 is a solid gray wire. We're going to get that connected to our C133 and run a wire from end to end, and we'll get that connected up. All right, so we got a white wire run along this engine harness, which is been retaped of what we massaged. I'm going to pull the slack front to back, or I guess back to front. We'll pull the slack here until we get the appropriate length of harness on this end over here. Something about like that. Maybe give it one more little pull. Oh, perfect. Now this guy is what we're going to connect to our PCM connector here. Given that this is actually 2 separate harnesses, I will put a splice connector, butt connector in line, just so we don't have to actually cut it if we need to service this in the future. And then I'll get this harness taped back up where I poked through. Now, for the record, I am not a big fan of butt connectors, but in certain scenarios like this where we could have a serviceability in the future, it is nice to have some connection point where we can actually disconnect if we had to. All right, so I got my butt connector installed in line here, and this is just a female and a male spade, and this will tuck down, and then we'll get the other end of this wire connected to our gray wire on pin number 48, and then we'll get all this wrapped back up. All right, so we got that guy all soldered in there, and without cutting the existing wire, and we'll get this guy taped up and ready to go.